Hello, my name's Brandy. I have not been on my channel for quite some time. There has been many things that has happened since leaving Louisiana, coming to Texas. Okay, so I left Louisiana to come to Texas for a job, also because there were some differences on how I felt my grandmother should have been taken care of. So that's a whole nother completely long story, which over time I will get into that. But I just wanted to come on camera really quick and just give a testimony for anyone out there who can relate to know how good God is. The universe is God. Like it's so hard to put into words, but it's just amazing how at your lowest time, when you feel alone, when you feel helpless, when you feel hopeless, how God shows you how much you are loved and supported. Okay, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up as quickly as possible. Long story short, I was in Louisiana working. I had to move, so I was looking online for jobs for Texas. So I ended up finding a really good job in Texas. I applied for it. I got hired. Now there was like a 2 to 3 month process for this job because there was extensive background check. So I had to go through that. It was an extensive application process and all of that. So with all that said, now this happened in 2023 at the beginning of, I think I applied for the job in like either December or January. I heard back from them in February. I found out in March that I got the job, and then it took like another month and a half to go through all the background, the federal background, state, and all of that to get the job. So I'm saying all that to say during that time, it was income tax time. So I was thinking, okay, so that's it. We're doing it. Me and my kids, we're going to a new state. We're going to get a new job. So it's going to be wonderful. So I come here. I find an apartment while I'm still living in Louisiana. I drive out here to Texas, find a place, pay the money, wait to hear back. I got approved. So I leave Louisiana. We moved there in one drive. I left so many things behind. I just got in the car, we drove to the place, got the key. It was kind of crazy how the universe just let all of that, come into play. It seemed to flow seamlessly. So what I ended up doing was, this job, you can only start on either the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month. And this particular month, it was the 13th of March. I'll never forget it. So long story short, the job I currently work for and the job that I applied for, you only get paid once a month. So I ended up getting a second job at or another job while I'm waiting to get hired and waiting for the whole process to go. So I ended up getting a job at a call center. Well, as I was moving my son here to go to school, it was really hard to get the, what did they want for him? They wanted his credits, or his credits weren't matching, or the shot record, it was something. So I'm saying all of this to say, I ended up door dashing like every day, every night to get the money to pay for the next upcoming month's rent, which I was able to do. But what I didn't realize is that when I started this new job, I had to wait a whole nother 30 days before I could get my next pay. So the problem is, when I had gotten that first job at the call center, I was let go because I was missing too much work trying to get the records and all of this stuff that they needed. And then I had to go take my son to get the shots, and they weren't being as how some jobs will tell you oh, we're very family friendly and we cater to family. No, they didn't. Absolutely did not. So I was no income. I was in between jobs waiting for me to start my new job, which means I still had to work a full 30 days before I could get my pay. So I'm already at 5 minutes, so let me try to hurry up and tell you this story. So, okay, Long story short, I kind of had to sell everything that I had. I had a pawn it. I was door dashing to get like the $1,300 I needed to get the rent. I was able to do that, but I wasn't able to do the next upcoming month's rent. So long story short, now at my job, I've been there, it's almost been a month, and we're doing training, and there is a girl that I met from a different office that was training at our location because we all were new hires. So long story short, she was like, yeah, you can stay at my place. I stay with my boyfriend. I'm hardly ever home. No problem. I have a 2-bedroom. You have 2 boys. That'll be perfect. You know, just pay me $700. I was like, oh no, I can pay you $1,000. That's no problem. Long story short, I ended up having to break my lease because I couldn't pay it. So I didn't even like wait for them to like evict me or whatever. I just moved out. I did call like the landlord and the leasing office to try to explain it, but the main person I needed to talk to, and I would call, I'd leave a message. They say they gave her the message for her to call me back, and she just didn't. Or we kept missing each other, or it was crazy. So I ended up just giving the money that I had. I think it was like $300 short of what I needed. And so I gave the money to the girl to stay at her place. Long drawn out story, long story short. Okay, she kept being weird. I paid her she did a prorate because I moved in like the middle of June. Then July came, paid her. September came. My son was in college and he was getting ready to graduate in California. He wanted to come here. He wanted a break from school. He had done like 16 years of school. He wanted a break. He wanted to come out here to Texas to see how things were. And so he was, you know, I was telling him the situation, like, hey, well, I'm staying with this girl because of the place, and da-da-da. And he's like, okay, that's cool. When I come there, I can get a job. We can get our place, and da-da-da. Let me tell you that when the girl lived with her boyfriend pretty much, so she would come and like pick up certain things of hers that she still had in the apartment. And then one minute she was like, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for taking care of my place. You're so great. You're so amazing. To getting a random phone call from her. It's like a 500,000 page paragraph of, oh, well, you know, that area is really nice. And I feel like I'm gonna up the rent because I know if I sold it, I can get much more. And I was like, okay, well, I get it. This is your place, but I can't afford what you're asking. So let me talk to my boss and see if I can take a couple of days off to figure something out. And it was just back and forth. So a month before I found out that my son was getting out of school and he decided he wanted to come home or come back to us, because I didn't know if he was gonna stay in California or what, I told her like, well, my son is getting out of school. He wants to come. How do you feel about that? Is that okay? You know, da da da. She's like, yeah, I can up the rent a little bit. I was like, yeah, that'll be no problem. He'll help out. Let me tell you, the day that my son, okay, so her AC had broken like 3 days before the date that my son was coming in. It wasn't July. No. September. Texas, it's still pretty warm that time of year. It is pretty warm in Texas. It doesn't start really cooling off until like what, November, December. So I told her like, hey, the AC stopped working. And she was like, oh my God, I just paid all this money to have it reserviced. There's no way. So I was at work, and my son that I had picked up that same night, he had, the night before, his plane came in at like 11 at night. I picked him up. I didn't go to bed till 2, and I had to get up and be to work at 5. So I went to work, and in the midst of all that, she's like, well, I'm gonna call and have somebody come look at it. Okay, fine. While I'm at work, my son said that when she came there, she was telling my kids, like, pack up your stuff, you're leaving. Excuse me. Me and her mom are not seeing eye to eye, blah, 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 blah. So they're calling me, telling me what's going on. I have to reach out to my boss, show her the text messages, tell her what's going on. She was like, leave now. Go find out what's happening with your sons. Let me know if you're okay. Let me know what you need, blah, 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 blah. So I get there, she's screaming at me like, oh, you're breaking my stuff, and then this, and da-da-da-da. So my kids were like, what? She was basically throwing me out. And I was like, this is so illegal. I just paid the money for the rent for that month, the full rent. I was like, well, give me my money back. No, because this is her. No, because you broke my AC, and then the garbage disposal, and this, and that. And I was like, my son was like, Mom, call the police. And I was like, that's just more time wasted. Like, I don't want any confrontation. I know now looking back that I should have, but to call the police, to have them let me stay there because I knew the law, but there was still no AC. So it was almost like we were gonna have to sit there for the next however many days in the heat to figure it all out. So let me just tell you how good God is. So mind you, I told you I had my lease broken because I didn't have that second or third month's rent because I was waiting, I was in between jobs or whatever. So let me tell you, that same day, I was like, well, she had taken all my clothes out of the closet, was throwing all my stuff around. My kids were like, I can't believe this is happening now. We've already been through a lot of stuff. So I was just finding the strength inside of me. Like, I just felt like my inner self or some other instinct inside of me or voice or powerful higher self, God, the universe was just telling me, just be calm. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. What we did was we packed up all the stuff. I went to find a room. We checked into the room. I DoorDashed that night to get us some dinner. We slept. The very next morning, I woke up to go find a place for storage to put all of the stuff that we did have into a storage unit. And this, mind you, was on a Friday night that she did all of this, I want to say. So Saturday, or it was either a Thursday or a Friday that all this happened. So that Friday or Saturday, I was looking for apartments and I'm trying to explain to my son, like, well, we're in a bad situation because now I have a broken lease. It's gonna be hard for someone to rent to me. You don't have any rental history at all. So we drove around looking for some places. He did have money already on him that he was going to use as like our down payment. And I have a decent job where the money is somewhat livable, and then he was going to be getting a job right away. So long story short, we ended up finding this place where I went into there. It wasn't in the best location and definitely doesn't have like the best people around, but I pulled up to it. I got in the car, I walked in, and the first lady I saw, I just went up to her, I sat in her chair, and I just told her, ma'am, I was staying with this girl who was renting to me. It was her own private place. She kicked us out a couple days ago. I work at this job. I make this amount of money. I just had an apartment. I kind of like briefly told her the whole story about leaving Louisiana, coming here for a job. She worked it out to where we got a place. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyone else, if they would have ran my credit, they would have seen this brand new thing on my history, and we wouldn't have been able to get anyone to rent to us. We would have been homeless. So I'm telling you, the whole time, like, we had to do certain things for my son so he could get the apartment in his name. He had the cash, but I had like the paychecks and stuff like that, like the rental history, the employment history. So she told us what to do. We did that. She got us in a place. Yeah, it was a 1-bedroom, and there's 3 of us, 3 sons and me, so 4. But let me just tell you, in my soul, I felt like so incredibly grateful. Like, this lady thought that she was getting the upper hand by throwing out a mom and her kids on the street. Like, I would have had to grovel, or I don't know what she thought, and it didn't matter to me what she was thinking, but in the midst of that chaos and the hopelessness that it seemed like in that moment, I'm telling you, this lady did not know me. She has no idea who I am, but she, even now to this day, like, I'm still here, but I'm in a different place, and I'll talk about all that in a different video, but she was just like, I don't know what it is, but I just had an overwhelming feeling to just help you. Like, I can just sense something in you, and it's been amazing. Like, we've paid every single time, like before the 3rd, it's due, like between the 1st and the 3rd. The latest we've paid is on the 3rd. And things have just been going so well. Now, This is all in the midst of me getting ready to be going through a very nasty divorce with things that my husband did that is just unspeakable. The chaos between family issues with my grandmother and then my grandmother's daughter and then my cousin and my husband and this girl and then something that happened with another lifelong friend. Like, it was complete chaos in the middle of all of this, and God still was like, don't fret, don't fret, I got you. I see you, I see your heart, I know what you've done, I know your intentions, I got you. And I'm telling you, my son was so worried, like, well, what if this, what if that? I said, no, Marcel, no, because guess what? We already got approved. We already got it. And I had no idea. I had no idea. Did we have to pay a ridiculous amount of a deposit? I think it was like a $600 or $700 extra deposit on top of the $1,300 rent. It was insane. It pretty much took everything that he had. But in the midst of that hopelessness, I was like, I know it's gonna be okay. I know. I knew without knowing. It was just like, and I literally wasn't even worried. I'm like, we got it. I imagined having the key. I imagined the look on her face, like the smile, like, hey, you guys are good. You got approved. Come on in, get the key. You know, just pay this, get the money order. You're good to go. And we were like trying to like really find out, I think by Wednesday, because one, I couldn't really take off too many more days. My job was great about it. And I had like PTO already accumulated, but they were great about it, but we didn't want to spend another night in a room and spending more money toward a room where we could like get our place, get all the toiletries, get a couple of groceries, get the pots and pans, you know. And this is honestly, I think like the third or fourth time that I've had to start over. And this is just one of many things where I just wanted to express that in the midst of hopelessness, in the midst of chaos, in the midst of people telling you you can't or you won't or it's not or you shouldn't or it won't, whatever the case may be, all that matters is what you believe and how you know you're going to power through that and overcome it. As long as you have the faith, like, it's unworldly to be, it's like it's not from this realm of our everyday conscious hustle and bustle, work, shower, sleep, groceries, laundry. It's something else that is insanely incredible. And I just wanted to share that story with you because I feel like this particular person that helped us get into this place, she, you know, kind of pulled some strings, and like places don't do that. In all of my 40 plus years, I have never heard of, I'm not saying it's impossible, but me personally, I've never heard of somebody going out of their way and pulling strings to help someone get a place, not knowing them from Adam. Me honestly telling her like, hey, I lost my place because I couldn't pay the rent. And she just instantly like saw through me, or God brought her to me in that moment, or because I'm telling you, I could have went in 10 minutes before, 30 minutes before, after, later, yesterday, the day before, whatever, and had a completely different person would have been like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you have this new failure to pay or this problem that with your old apartment, like you can't rent, period. Like there's no amount of money you can pay that's gonna make you rent. But I just wanted to share my experience, and if anyone else has had any other experience like this or anything similar, or you want to tell a story about how good God has been for you, how he has shown up for you, how things have just completely did a 360 out of no way, like he will make a way. He will make a way. I mean, all you have to do is know it and believe it, and it's done. So I'm definitely gonna get my channel like going some more. There's so many things that I need to tell you, to talk about. my journey. I think it's been 2 years I've been away. 2 years. It's been a lot. So I definitely want to get that back going. I want to start getting back my readings, doing my channel for my tarot. I also have another channel, Healing the Soul. That's kind of where I just talk about my spiritual journey experiences, stories that can be inspirational for somebody else, things that are just happening, and the process, and just having faith and just staying strong, just believing in yourself and knowing that there is a way out of no way. Thank you so much for coming to this channel, watching this video, and please leave a comment. Like I said, if you have any type of similar experience where something like this has happened to you or someone you know, I love hearing that. I just want to inspire people. I know it's tough when you're by yourself or if you feel alone, but you're not alone. There are people out there who truly care, that there's resources, and again, it's just incredible to see how in the storm, like the sun just shines right on through, and there's no words to describe it, you know. It's an incredible feeling. But thank you so much for being here. I hope you all have a lovely day or night, and please like this video if you thought it was helpful for you, or share it if you think it could help somebody else. And thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Until then, bye for now.